Hey, you're listening to Don't Lie to Your Life Coach podcast with Kim Arrington. I'm Kim Arrington. I'm a life coach, a weight loss coach, an author, and a badass passionate about helping you connect back to your most authentic self. Join me here each week so I can coach you on how to think all those juicy thoughts that get you feeling your absolute best and taking some big ass action. Coaching has changed my life, and it can change your life too. I'm here to give you real life solutions to create a life you'll love. Because the truth is, boo, you ain't just got problems, you got options. Hey, y'all, I'm back. Episode 111. I love that number. 111 means oneness. We are all connected. There is no separation between us. It's been a minute. I am back. I'm so happy. Of course, what do I always say? I am your favorite life coach, here to get you out of that midlife suck and into your knowing, your thriving, and living all your desires. Yay! This episode I knew I was going to do about self-trust. And this episode is for you. If you need to learn about self-trust, you may struggle with self-doubt and want to trust your own decisions more. You may feel like you're constantly kind of second guessing yourself and you want to break free. All you folks who are like, the rug gets pulled out from under me, this episode is for you. If you're tired of trying to go to others to get validation, and you're ready to rely on your own inner wisdom, and you want to build confidence in your ability to handle what comes up in your life, the hard stuff and the good stuff. Midlife is the perfect time to kind of double down on your self-trust. It's a little bit ironic. I'm telling you to trust yourself, but you've come to me to hear for you to trust yourself. And I will tell you that if you are going to anyone to work on personal development, they should be turning you back to yourself, to listen to yourself, to be in your own knowing. And so this episode is all about how you get to be who you want to be, how you hear yourself, how you see yourself, how you feel about yourself, and where you go back to. So I just want to give you a little bit of updates before we really hop into it, what I've been up to. I've been working on the book. The book will be coming out in fall. Okay. And the book I'm really excited about. I'm going to do a whole episode on the book coming up soon. So you're going to get to hear more about it than you want to hear. You're going to get to hear so much about it that you're going to be an expert on the book. I'm really excited what is coming up with this, how it can transform your life and how it transforms my life. I want to get out here more and I want to be helping people. Yes, I have had a big emphasis on helping women and people that identify as women, but people to know that being over 40 is the best time of their lives, 40 and beyond. Also, I have a newsletter coming out, and I'm really excited. I have been on this quest of how to save you all time, how to save me time. So I've been thinking about how to give you all micro content that you can read in 2 to 3 minutes or less, content that helps enrich your day, and then you can take that wisdom in your day and make it matter. Let's get to self-trust. Y'all know I'm always going to give you a good old Merriam-Webster definition. So I'm going to give you this definition of trust, but I'm actually going to make it about you because we're talking about self-trust. We're not talking about trusting others. We're talking about self-trust. And by the way, if you trust yourself, then you actually are more likely to trust others and know when you may need to pull back and consider another source. So here is the definition of trust. We're going to make it about self. An assured reliance on the character, ability, strength, and truth of yourself. Confidence is placed in yourself, a dependence on something future or contingent when it comes to yourself. It's definitely, we often talk about trust with others, and I want you all to start thinking about trust when it comes to you. When I think about self trust, I love this quote. So I told you all, I have been putting together a newsletter. I'm going to give you a little bit of, intel on the newsletter. The newsletter is going to be called The Juicy, and it's all about squeezing the best out of your life, but and I was looking for quotes, and I came across this incredible quote from Toni Morrison, the world famous, won every award. Toni Morrison, beloved, Sula. I've read many of her books. You are your best thing. You are your best thing. I really can't think of another more appropriate quote for midlife. I want you to think about it like this. In your childhood, in your teens, in your 20s, in your 30s, so much of your world is about the other relationships in your life. But then something happens around 35. And you all know I'm a coach, I'm a life coach for people over 40, but I start getting people coming to me in their 30s because they're starting to feel that tension between what they thought a happy life was and what it actually is. And they're realizing that part of their unhappiness is their focus on other people. And they come to me, God knows I've been through this, and I help them to ask themselves the question. I'm going to take you through a full 4-step process for you to do this a little bit later on. Just stick with me in this episode. By the time you start reaching 40, it's undeniable. When you hit 43, if you have not been doing things differently, you almost have a grief about your life that you cannot shake. And this is what this episode is about. I want to talk just for a second about one of my clients. We just had an intense session where she was talking about one of her family members and how she had to protect her family member from this other family member. And I was like, you can't do that anymore. You have to override that childhood conditioning that says, I need to take care of this person at my own expense. You need to be willing to sit on your hands and not say, I'm going to come after this family member if they do this. And if your family member, the one in question you feel like you need to care for, comes to you and talks to you about it, you can decide what your solutions are that don't have to be being on the front lines and taking up for this family member. Because if you're always doing and taking up for people, how do they change? When we get in the way of people and their lessons, sometimes we're making it so that it doesn't feel good. Like, we change when stuff starts feeling so bad that we have to do something different. I tell my clients this all the time. Your natural state of being is not to feel bad. So when you feel bad, that is your emotional system's way of trying to get your attention. Self-trust is not about closing the door on relationships. Self-trust is about opening our door wider on our relationship with ourselves. I think that was the money shot. Let me get y'all into these steps for you to know that you can have credibility in yourself, for you to know that you are believable to yourself. You've got to decide what you want and then declare that thing. You don't need anyone to be on board. Entrepreneurs, can you hear me? Can you hear me? When I think about people who declare it, I think about entrepreneurs. I'm an entrepreneur. I come from 100 plus years of entrepreneurial experience on my side of the Arrington family. My grandfather, Robert Russell Arrington, who was the most successful Black tobacco farmer in his area of Virginia. My grandfather, Robert Russell, lost his leg in the coal mines of West Virginia. For you to decide and declare it. I'm going to do this thing. I'm not going to need anybody to be on board with me. It's great if they are. And I'm not going to stop until I do this thing. I'm going to declare it to myself. I don't need to declare it to everybody. You know how you see these people who say work in silence? That's why y'all been getting these pod rewinds. You don't have to declare it to everyone at first. To trust yourself, you must declare it to you first. You must decide and then declare that you are going to do what you think you cannot do. And this reminds me of my favorite quote from Eleanor Roosevelt. You must do the thing you think you cannot do. I don't know if that's a healing journey for you with the diagnosis. I don't know if that's staying in a relationship where the commitment feels difficult, but you're going to do it anyway. I don't know if that is deciding that this person has addiction and you're still going to be open to loving them, even if it means putting your boundaries up. I don't know if that means going back to school or going for a new job but you got to decide it and then declare it. Decide and declare. Step 2, practice makes practice. It's not enough to just decide it and declare it. You're going to practice what it means to actually be the thing. You're going to hear your own inner guidance. See, self-trust has that inner guidance piece. You guys call it intuition. Some of you call it your God voice. Doesn't even matter. Higher self. You're going to listen to that inspired action and you're going to just keep moving forward. Practice makes practice. Not perfect. I don't have a problem with perfect, but I know it's a loaded word. But I'm going to continue to believe in myself. I'm going to continue to trust myself. I'm going to continue to know what I'm doing is right for me. And this situation is helping me to practice seeing my self-trust. When you go on a self-trust journey, you're going to have naysayers. And you know what else nays? A donkey ass. Okay? I don't think they neigh. It's really a horse. But let the naysayers go on and neigh their asses on out the picture. Let the naysayers neigh their asses on down the street. Practice makes practice. You need to know it. Now, I'm being real careful to say not believe it. When you start on a self-trust journey, you may not believe it. You may not believe that you can have the confidence, the trust in yourself. When you declare something, it is different from you believing it. When you practice something, you may not have that jump shot yet, but you keep practicing it. You declare, I'm going to have a jump shot. I'm going to run this 5K. I don't even need to believe it. I'm just going to do it. I'm going to do it and I'm going to practice. I'm going to go out with my app and practice my running intervals. And before long, belief finds me. Practice is the way to get to belief, or I'll just say knowing. I don't even need belief. I want to sidestep belief and go straight to knowing. When I decide and declare it, I'm also saying I'm knowing. And the practice is good. Maybe it gives me confidence. I always say confidence comes from doing, but at the end of the day, it's me moving forward in inspired action. It's you moving forward in inspired action. I'm going to trust myself. Oh, this didn't turn out how I wanted it to. Let me make a little tweak. I have a client who says adjustments are mandatory. Let me make a little adjustment and keep practicing it. That's how self-trust works. That's how you begin to know that you can really understand and be there for yourself. You have to decide that you're going to practice that skill. I think self-trust is a skill. I think the more you do it, the more you get better at it. Hell, I think everything that you want is a skill. When you say that it's a skill, you allow yourself to have the relationship with it where you can become it. That's why I don't like the word process. I don't like the word belief. Because when I decide and declare, I have become it. I have decided I become it in that moment. And I watch the world change to show that, to reflect that back to me. Here is my power question of all questions. I teach all my clients this. Ask yourself, is it really true? So you get mad at somebody, they've done something to you. I want you to ask yourself, is that really true? Anytime you use the word always, this person always does this, this person, I always do this, I know it's not true. There's no such thing as anyone always doing anything. Ask yourself, is it really true? Next time something comes up where you question yourself, where it shakes you to your core, you need to ask yourself, is it really true? Because I have, number one, decided and declares. I'm number two, practice makes practice. And now I'm at the point where when adversity or something comes up, when someone questions, like I'm all feeling good in my self-trust, I'm like, yeah, boy, like I know myself, I know what's up. And then someone comes hard in and questions me. I need to ask myself, is what they're saying about me true? Probably not. And I need to ask myself, when I get bothered or triggered by anyone, is it really true what's happening? Because your brain is designed to tell you an economical story, which means a story that's based off of what it knows. If you don't like what's happening, you have to choose differently. And sometimes you'll be surprised at what you choose. You will think that you're going to go this direction and you go the opposite direction. So it all day, I'll ask myself, like, is that really true? Or the other question I'll ask my clients is, give me evidence. That's the same thing. It's basically the same thing. Is it really true? Give me evidence. Like, give me evidence is true. What's the evidence I have of this? And if you are basing it off of a older version of you versus the current version of you, it ain't true. If you're basing it off of an older version of someone versus the current version of somebody, it ain't true. You've got to decide that you are willing to let go of the older versions of you and the older versions of others. That is what self-trust is. Self-trust is the trust of self. It is pointing it back to you to figure out who you are, what you need. Like, let's do the who you are, how you are, why you are, what you are. Like that kind of where you are. Here's a fourth step. Blunder to best. Ooh. When I came up with that, I was like, girl, you brilliant. All right, blunder to best. That basically means I'm going to accept it how it comes in. I know my blunders, that kind of stepping a little too far to the right, that kind of stepping a little far to the left. I know my blunders are going to lead me to my best. What about anything? So you decided and you declared it with your self-trust, like this is what I want to do, this is who I am, this is how I'm feeling, and your practice being you when stuff comes up, and then you blunder a little bit. You're like, oh, well, this is not quite right, but it's in the right direction. I think if I just keep at it, I'll get there. That's what this requires. You are your best thing. I want you to think about this week. What would it look like for you to take a self-trust journey? Where are you on your self-trust journey? And what could you do? If you use these 4 steps that I talked about to decide and declare it, to practice makes practice, to ask yourself, is that really true? And to blunder to best, how could that help you when it comes to trusting yourself? I want you to live a life where you see yourself, you hear yourself, you know yourself, because joy, our true joy, comes from being so curious about ourselves and answering those questions that come up. All right, y'all, I'm so glad to be back. New episodes, new episodes, new episodes. All right, share this episode with a friend, do the homework, think about it. I'll see you next week.
Are you feeling what you just heard? Good, good. Repeat after me. You don't have to figure it out on your own again anymore. I'm here to help. head over to kimarrington.com and download my free video series dedicated to getting you feeling your best right now. Look around, there's some good stuff waiting on you. Got questions? Well, we're always talking on the socials, so find me on YouTube, Insta, and the book. Don't be shy, y'all. Go listen to another episode or join me here the same time next week. Finally, don't keep good shit to yourself. Share this with a homie that could use some help too. Remember, we're not lying to ourselves anymore. We're not lying to our doctors. And you damn sure don't lie to your life coach.